Hello everyone, myself Ritu Vashish, NEET Botany faculty since last 15 years. My academic qualifications are MSc Net BEd. I have recently qualified IELTS academic in general and I am also pursuing PGDE from one of the UK university, but this is an online course. I have worked in almost all the topmost medical entrance institutes of India, such as Akash, Career Point, Bansal, and Resonance. From 2016 to 2019, I have worked in Mumbai Akash Andheri Center as NEET Botany faculty. And from 2019, I shifted to Qatar. And my remaining experience is in Jaipur. In Qatar, here, I have worked as Center and Academic Head in Savoy Education Center, Academic Coordinator and Biology Faculty at London Education Center. After coming to Qatar, I have started teaching botany as well as geology. At the same time, I have been dealing with all the boards, CBSE, ICSE, IB, IGCSE, A and AS levels. And I've also started teaching the biology Olympiads, ACT, SAT, UCAT, and IMAT, which are the international medical entrance exams. My whole aim of joining Vedantu is because it is one of the topmost edtech companies of India. Since March 2020, onset of pandemic, online teaching has become mandatory because it was the only option available for teaching to the students and providing them the best of knowledge. Undoubtedly, online teaching is more challenging than offline, but it also gives us satisfaction of using the technology at par, satisfying the students and letting them achieve their goals in the field of medical entrance and the other entrance exams. Vedantu has proved its excellence by providing best of results uh, among the students. And besides this, it also gives a best platform to the educators for exploring their knowledge, insight, and experience. So that's why I find it one of the best platform to use my talent and to achieve pinnacle in my career. So now I will start my demo lecture, which is related to the topic genetics. Now, Mendelian genetics, the principles of inheritance and variation, I will be dealing today. You all know that genetics is the branch of biology that deals with the heredity and variation. See, when we talk about heredity, we inherit the genes from parents, 50% from the paternal side and 50% from the maternal side. That is 50% of the traits are inherited from the father side and 50% from the mother side. For example, our eye color, skin color, at the same time, the shape of lips, the size of nose, its shape, eyebrows, forehead, everything is determined by the genes. It has been proved by the Human Genome Project. If you talk about this Human Genome Project has proved that in human beings, there are 30,000, 25,000 to 30,000 genes, and each and every trait is regulated by the genes. So basically, genes are the carriers of hereditary characteristics which we inherit from the parents. As you can see here, the definition also, transmission of traits from parents to offspring is known as the hereditary, and variation is the differences. It's not that we are carbon copies of our parents. No two individuals are alike except the identical twins. So the genetic differences among the members of the same species, like we are not the carbon copies of the parents, we might share few traits from the mother side and few traits from the father's side, or we might be the hybrid, or we might belong to any member of the paternal or maternal family. So the variations which develops, or the differences which develops among the members of the same species, are known as variation. So we can say that it is the study of heredity plus variation. Like begets like human beings give birth to babies. You can see this is the picture of identical twins. As I told you that no two individuals are identical except the identical twins. So dog give birth to puppies, cat gives birth to kitten, like that. Now, why the variation arises? Like why there are differences? Why there are differences between the parents and the offsprings? The major reason you all are familiar is none other than the sexual reproduction. Because you know that let's say suppose this is the mother. We represent it with this sign, and this is the father. Now, egg. You all know that egg is the female gamete or the ovum. In human beings, if we talk about 2n is 46 and n is 23. So basically, when we talk about the female gamete, the number of chromosomes would be 23. At the same time, sperm or the male gamete, because here during the time of gametogenesis, which division takes place? Meiosis, or we term it as the meiotic division takes place. So because of that, the number of chromosomes are reduced to half and becomes 23. Now this 23 and 23 will constitute in the formation of zygote, and the zygote will again retain twice the number of chromosomes, that is 46, because it will have 23 from the egg and 23 from the sperm or the male gamete. So total number of the chromosomes becomes 46. And besides this, you should also know that 22 plus X and 22 plus Y are the male gametes, and 22 plus X and 22 plus X are the female gamete. I can also explain it in such a way that in human beings, there are 22 pairs of autosomes and there is one pair of 6 chromosomes. So when I say 22 pair of autosomes, that is 44, and one pair of 6 chromosome, which is XX in case of female and which is XY in case of male. So always the female gametes will carry which chromosome, students? X chromosome. But in case of male, X and Y. So whenever this X and X combine, girl child is born. That is, we can say 44 plus XX. It will lead to the birth of which child? Girl child. And 44 plus XY will lead to the birth of male child. So that means the determining factor lies in the sex chromosome, which is carried by the sperms. Now, variations are again of two types, non-heritable and heritable. Heritable, which are transferred generation after generation, and non-inheritable from the environment. Like besides the genetics, we also exposed to the various kinds of the environmental conditions. Terminology in genetics, genotype. Like the first term is genotype. It refers to the genetic constitution of an organism. When it comes to the dominant traits, they are represented by the capital letter, and the recessive traits are represented by the small letter. So here you will find the genetic constitution of an organism. If it is capital T, then it refers to the pure tall. And if it is capital T and small t, then hybrid tall. Phenotype is the physical appearance of the trait or the character, like whatever the character we observe. If it is capital T, then also this is tall, this is also tall. But genotypically, if you find that this is pure tall, because both are capital T. And if we talk about this capital T and small t, then you will find that this is the hybrid tall, because one of them carries the dominant trait and another carries the recessive trait. Heterozygous means the zygote. Zygous refers to the zygote, and hetero means different. So zygote with a dissimilar pair of genes, that is capital R small r, capital Y small y. Homo means same, and zygous again means zygote. So zygote with a similar pair of genes, it can be the color of the flower red, capital R, white small r, small r. Then shape of the seed, round and wrinkled. So anything with the similar pair of genes, any characteristic. Dominant, the characters which are expressed in F1, it refers to the first filial generation. So the characters which are expressed in the first filial generation are known as dominant. Recessive is the character which does not expresses itself in the presence of the dominant trait. For example, if I say capital D, small t, so that particular plant is going to be tall. Here, the dwarfness is suppressed. Right. And if I write capital R, small r, so here again, the white color is not expressed and only the color which is expressed is the red color. Punnett square is the tool to determine the outcomes of the crosses, particularly in determining the F2 generation, that is the second filial generation. Punnett square is used. Probability refers to the occurrence of the chance factor. Trait are the characteristics which are controlled by the genes. As I told you that genes, the term factor was used for the genes by the father of genetics, that is the Gregor John Mendel. And basically the trait is a character. It could be anything, the height of the plant, the color of the flower. Particularly, I'm talking about the pea plant, that is the Pisum sativum, the garden pea, which was used by the Mendel, Gregor John Mendel. Allele is an alternative form of gene, like capital T, capital T. So they both are alleles of each other, like this. And factor, as we have already discussed, the term used by the Mendel, Gregor John Mendel, for the genes and the carrier of hereditary characteristics are the genes. Genes are the carriers of hereditary characteristics which are located on the chromosomes. So basically, we inherit the chromosomes from the parents, and the genes are located on the chromosomes. Father of genetics, as you all are familiar, Gregor John Mendel is known as the father of genetics, and father of modern genetics is the Betson. So I hope the general terminology of the genetics must be clear to you. And if we talk about the Gregor John Mendel, he was born on 22nd July 1822 in the Heisendorf state of the Silesian village. And he did his experiments in the Augustinian Church of Brunn from 1856 to 1863. This is one of the important questions, that is, for 7 years, he did his experiments on the pea plant. That pea plant, if you talk about the botanical name, then the garden pea, that is Pisum sativum. And besides this, he took 2 years to summarize the data. That is from 1863 to 1865, Mendel, he summarized the data. That is, whatever the experiments he performed on the garden pea, they were summarized in the form of the data. And his paper was published in the year 1865 in the name of the Experiments on the Plant Hybridization in the Natural History Society of Brunn. So basically, Mendel worked for 7 years from 1863 to 1865. And in 1865, his paper was published. But unfortunately, in the Natural History Society of Brunn, where his paper was published, Charles Darwin theory, the origin of species due to natural selection, was also under discussion. So that's why the Mendel work was recognized 34 years after the publication in the year 1900 by 3 different scientists in 3 different countries. That is Karl Correns of Germany, Hugo de Vries of Holland Dutch, and Erich von Schermark of Austria. He belonged to the Mendelian country. So basically, this was an outline idea of genetics. This must be clear to all of you. Thank you so much.